why, after a binge or a half a gallon of ice cream, I would wake up and say, what the hell was I thinking? Some people even say, the devil made me do it. And that brings to mind what you see so often depicted in artwork, in movies, in cartoons, and that's you sitting there and you've got a little devil on your shoulder and a little angel on your other shoulder, depicting your Well, good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. And you know what this means? This morning, I'm going to make myself a 5-egg omelet, and I haven't decided yet, but I'm either going to use sardines or anchovies. No bacon today. One day a week, I like to substitute some kind of fish, either salmon, sardines, or anchovies into my omelet, and that'll be my first meal of the day. And while I'm cooking this, I want to talk to you about a little something that came together in my head recently that I thought was pretty interesting and maybe a good explanation for so many things that we really don't understand, and probably has to do with the driving cause of addictive behavior and the way we deal with it. Maybe understanding it will help you out a little bit. Now, this little bit of logic that I came up with might be controversial, because it always is, but anytime I get into the subject of evolution, I get a little bit of pushback. So I apologize for that, but I have to go with what I think is a plausible explanation. Ah, that's good. No butter. And I hope that those of you who think I'm crazy and way off base, and that humans didn't evolve and come from the living things before us, I hope you forgive me and maybe do a little research into the subject and find out why it is that most religious people today, including some of the biggest influences in the carnivore community, are very religious people and wholeheartedly believe in the science of evolution, but are still religious nonetheless, and might want to find out why they believe that the earth is more than 6,000 or 8,000 years old, and give it a little credibility to what I say, along those lines. But at any rate, let's assume that you accept that fact, and you accept the fact that all living things on the planet Earth evolved from the first living thing in what we call the tree of life. And if you look at a tree and look at a leaf or a branch hanging way out there, it couldn't exist unless it was connected to the tree. You don't see trees with branches hanging out in midair, not connected to anything, and that's how the tree of life is, and that's how evolution is. And accept the fact that before humans, there were our immediate ancestors, and before that, there were ancestors way back to when one of us crawled out of the sea as a lizard, and we have a tremendous amount in common with them in the way that our subconscious mind works and controls all the biological functions of our body, because it had to, or our animal ancestors would not have survived at all without these instinctual behaviors. And it's only very recently in the history of this planet that our species 250, 300,000 years, Homo sapiens sapiens, modern humans as we're called, actually came into being. But humans, going back about 3 million years, in the genus Homo, have had what we can imagine was conscious intelligence back at least 3 million years. And somewhere around that period of time is when we finally got enough brain power, enough computing power in our heads to become self-aware. Now, I'm always talking about the fact that our subconscious mind is very powerful, and our subconscious mind is really what's in charge and really is what controlling all of our instincts. And along with those instincts go our desires, our cravings, everything else that it thinks we need. Now, the good news is, before modern civilization came along in the last 100 years or two, we were eating only those foods which we came up eating. And they were primarily meat. All right, the choice here, we're going to go with sardines or we're going to go with anchovies. I think today, just for fun, I had sardines the last time. I want to go with these anchovies. I get these things, these Wild Planet wild white anchovies. Very healthy fish. I get them on Amazon. I'll put a link on my website in the stuff I use, in case you're interested in those. These I get at Aldi, so you know where Aldi is. And what we're going to do here with these little fishies, we're going to chop them up and just mix them up with the eggs. It's that easy. So, let's see if we can open this up without doing major damage to either my hands or the can. And since I want to get all this, these are packed in water, we'll pour this out. But we'll leave a certain amount of oil in it. And we'll dump these out on the cutting board. There we go. And we'll take a big knife and we will chop them up. There we go. And we will put them in with our eggs here. Try to get as many of these into the eggs as possible. There we go. Okay. Perfect. And y'all know what's coming now. Pardon me while I beat my eggs and anchovies. Okay. All right, this is pretty simple breakfast or early lunch or first meal or whatever you call it, because I don't have to cook any bacon. I put some butter in the pan. I pour the eggs in with the little fish in it, and is a nutrient bomb what I've got here. Between the eggs, the omega-3s in the fish, the DHA and the EPA, the nutrients in the eggs, this is what they should be thinking about whenever the term health food is used. No carbs, no sugars, no grains, no seed oils, no nothing except the nutrients that we need. All right, so let me get back to what I was talking about while our omelet cooks here. is that if you really want to try to understand what's going on with your own behavior, I mean, and my behavior when I look back in history, and why I kept doing stupid things. Why, after a binge or a half a gallon of ice cream, I would wake up and say, what the hell was I thinking? Some people even say, the devil made me do it. And that brings to mind what you see so often depicted in artwork, in movies, in cartoons, and that's you sitting there and you've got a little devil on your shoulder and a little angel on your other shoulder, depicting your good self and that part of you that's evil. And it's been pretty well drummed into us that we do, most of us do have, if not all of us, but two sides to us. A side that is capable of doing bad things and a side that's capable of doing good things. Now, in our conscious mind, we don't want to think that we're capable of bad things. And yet, if I go out and get a half a gallon of ice cream, which I know is very bad for me, that's a bad thing. If I get so worked up and angry that I want to hurt somebody, that's a bad thing. And what drives that? What drives us to be able to rationalize somehow in our conscious mind? And that's a powerful word, this rationalize. What drives us to rationalize that behavior, excuse ourselves for it, and do it? And then when we're done doing it is when any feelings of remorse or guilt, shame, flood our mind, and we say, what was I thinking? Or, the devil made me do it. And we've grown as a society to kind of accept the concept of the devil. And it's built into all of our ideologies in one form or another. And you have to ask yourself, did the cavemen 30 to 50,000 years ago understand in their mind what the concept of an angel and devil was? Or was this something that we kind of invented about the time that we became aware of the concept of religion to explain, and even more convenient, to blame for our own bad behavior? And if we're blaming the devil, and that devil was just a concept to represent the evil side and the evil capabilities of this subconscious mind or animal brain, reptile brain, or whatever you want to call it, that's really in charge. And that's a concept you have to accept for this all to make sense. Did we actually invent the concept of this creature called the devil? And do we still to this day have that built so deep in our ideologies that he's a convenient scapegoat when we try to and want to blame our bad behavior so that we can rationalize the feel-good thought of the devil made me do it. It wasn't me. It was the devil. That little guy hanging right out there on my shoulder made me do it. Why did you do it in the first place if it wasn't the devil? And the simple, at least to me, obvious answer is that the power of the subconscious mind to do what it thinks is necessary for its basic programming, survival, whatever. The power of that mind is the devil that we're talking about. And it does what it does because, especially with eating, because it's become addicted to these chemical substances, which are the foods that we never were exposed to until very, very recently. And our genetics and our biology and our mechanism hasn't quite yet caught up with that, and is only reacting the way it needed to react to survive when it found scarce sugar and things as survival food. And the mechanisms that this so-called devil uses to make us eat that ice cream, make us binge on all that cookies and pastas and cakes and everything else, the mechanism that it uses is, and I've said this before, it shuts down the frontal lobe of our brain, takes over our conscious thought with rationalizations why it's okay, and goes about its business of getting what it wants. Now, you can blame the devil. You can say to yourself, what was I thinking? The answer, you can blame both of those things on your own brain just carrying out its programming. And if you don't believe that your own brain can prioritize some drug over health, then go to Google and look up studies where they took mice and rats, who are also animals and also programmed like we are, and they fed them cocaine, and they got to the point where they starved to death because when given a choice of food or the drug, they would gorge on the drug because they were that addicted. And unfortunately, we, as the human race right now, after the century or so of abuse we've taken in the name of profit from all of the big business that fostered all this sugar on us, and seed oils and grains, and the medical community that's profited greatly from the illness caused by these things. We need to start being realistic about why this is happening to us and discover how do we fix it. Now, we know as individuals that eating the way we're supposed to eat fixes it. But how do we fix society when this is the normal for them? I don't know. That, my friends, is a question for more powerful people than me who might have a conscience out there. We keep up the fight. We eat the real food. We get healthy. And they tell us we're crazy. So, on that note, I'm going to eat my anchovy omelet, which is going to be delicious. You all take the rest of the day off. Think about what I said. And eat meat.